Hello. And
Hello.
welcome to the first annual Well, It Certainly Does Suck. I'm here with
Certainly
Thorvault,
does. Hi, I'm
aka
Thorvault.
Dustin,
Dustin.
and I'm Rangus, aka Patrick, if you want to call me that. This is our pilot episode, so bear with us, because we are new.
We're new. We're
brand new.
We have zero notoriety in the world of anything.
This is a show, and hopefully it will very soon become your favorite show. I want sound bites. I want sound bites from people. I want to say, this is Debbie from North Carolina, and this is my favorite show on the internet. I want to collect some of those. So Debbie, if you're out there, I want you to send me an email at wellitcertainlydoessuck@gmail.com, which I have already set up 5 minutes ago. This will be on Spotify, and we'll be taking over the world. So for our first topic, that's going to be this world, the Earth.
Okay, all right, well.
There may be more worlds later. I think we'll start with this world first, and then we'll move on to some other worlds. Maybe Mars. It seems like the next one that we're going to go to.
They're really pushing the Mars thing, aren't they?
You know, I think Mars is kind of like the apple of humanity's eye. It's like we've ravaged this planet for hundreds of thousands of years. It's time for a new baby.
Time for a new one.
So we'll go ahead.
I was going to say I watched 2001 A Space Odyssey recently.
Yeah.
You ever seen that?
I've never seen that movie. I know of it, but I've never watched it.
And my takeaway from that entire thing was there's no need for us to go to space for any reason.
Why do you say that?
Well, if you would watch the movie, like I told you to,
You just told me.
They go to space, right? And they're in this like state-of-the-art craft, and everything is being controlled by this computer system named HAL 9000.
Oh.
And the whole thing is HAL has never like once made a mistake in its, you know, the system with itself has like never made a mistake before, which is already not good, right? So they start going to space, and they're like halfway into the trip, and the computer just decides that the humans are what's gonna mess up the trip to Jupiter or wherever they're going. So we start sabotaging the humans, and like one of them's out there trying to fix part of the spaceship, and it just disconnects its they're like tied to the ship with the cable or whatever.
Yeah.
And he just dispatches him, and he's like flying through space.
So
a guy.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So the dude comes out, and he like catches the dude flying through space with his little capsule, because it has like little arms on it. And so he grabs the guy, and he's got him on the front of his little ship, and he's trying to get back into the main ship. And he's like, "Hal, open the door." And Hal's like, "I can't let you do that, Dave." And he doesn't let him back in, and he goes through like the escape hatch or whatever. And so yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any reason to go. I mean, what is there to find?
You know, I don't think it's there. I think a lot of people are trying to figure out what planet we're going to live on next. Not necessarily to find something, but to have a place for humanity to go. I think it's what like a lot of people that are looking for, like a lot of people in that community that are like looking at Mars and stuff, like the scientists or whatever. I don't think it's necessarily like what are we going to find. I think it's necessarily like how can we live there after Earth is unlivable. And the thing about that is, for me, I'm gonna be honest with you, 100% full disclosure. I don't give a crap. I'm not gonna be here that much longer. So you guys can figure it out when the time comes.
Yeah.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But I get it. I get why they're like, well, we need to find a sustainable place to live. I don't know if I don't know. I think that it's a long ways off. But I think what you're talking about, and that movie takes place in 2001, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so that has already happened, dude.
Hence the
So,
name.
Yeah.
01.
So AI though is nuts. Like, that's terrifying. Why are people watching these movies and continuing to try to make AI? They're gonna kill us.
I think it just goes to the thing where it's like, hey, we can do this, so why not? Let's just do it.
Yeah,
Rather
it's just
than
like
thinking about,
they said in Jurassic Park.
should we? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just like they said. They were too, what did he say? They were too preoccupied with whether or not they could. They didn't stop to think whether or not they should.
Right, exactly.
And yeah, dude, like, AI is the new Jurassic Park. They're going to make AIs, and they're going to be like, check out these AIs. And then the AIs are going to be like, you guys, we don't need you. You know what's really interesting to me? Like, so you know that Dolly Mini thing that people have been using? Like, I've been using it. It's pretty sick.
What is that?
So I'm sure you've seen it. Like, it's this AI generated app that these people created, and a lot of people have been like using it to make memes and stuff, like, which is the natural progression.
Oh, I have seen that. They look terrifying.
Yeah. So basically, you type in anything, and somehow or another, using an AI, it takes all of the images from the entire internet that it can find. I don't know exactly how it works. I'm not a smart person, but
Oh, me either.
but it takes these images from all over the internet, and it makes an image based on the prompt you give it. And that seems really fun. That is really fun. I was messing with it the other day though, and this is pure speculation, okay? I'm not saying this is true, but I was like looking at it, and I was hanging out with my buddy Kyle, and we were looking at it together, and I just typed in something about a school bus, and it's one of two things, okay? So you know how on a school bus, like, it says like what name of the county it is or whatever on the side of it usually,
right,
or something. Well, on the top of it, above like the windshield, it usually says school bus or something, right? Well, all the images I was getting based on a school bus, it showed writing, but it was like this weird language that I've never seen. And it got me thinking, it could be one of two things. I think the first one, more likely, is that it was just the AI's way of gathering all the information, all the different text that's on a school bus, right? From all over the world, because I think school buses are pretty much the same all over the world. And it was kind of just like make a mishmash of text that you'd see on a school bus, and it was kind of like got confused and just created this weird looking, like these weird characters. Or the AI has already created its own language, and that's the language that we see on the school buses on the Dollar Mini.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, what if it has? What if it already made a school bus, or it took all the school buses, and on that school bus it's trying to talk to us? Now that would be something.
I thought the language was just zeros and ones.
Well, see, here's the thing.
Right.
A few years ago, Facebook created an AI, and then it just started talking to itself in its own language, and then they shut it down. Which is probably the smart thing to do.
I'm shocked once they shut it down.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked too. I thought they would probably set it free into all the internet.
Well, Zuckerberg's like, just see what happens. Let's just see.
We've created Ultron.
See what it does.
Yeah, I mean, they're just going to make Ultron, and then Ultron's going to start 3D printing his own indestructible body, multiple of them around the world, and just start killing us or imprisoning us or something. He's going to try to become king of Earth.
Right.
I don't know, dude. Speaking of Marvel, we saw Thor. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm going to preface this with spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Thor Love and Thunder yet, turn off the episode.
I think most people haven't seen it, probably.
It came out 2 days ago. I know there's like a 2-week thing. We don't have... Honestly, The movie doesn't even contain that many spoilers.
Not really.
Not really. But it was cool.
In the grand scheme of things, it's pretty straightforward story.
Yeah, it was a pretty
Thor's
good
gonna
movie.
kill a bunch of monsters, and there's a villain that's causing problems.
The biggest spoiler I would say, and spoiler alert, there's a lot of Guns N' Roses in this. There's like 4 or 5 Guns N' Roses songs, all from the same album, I believe.
I mean,
And
the trailer was nothing but guns and/or roses.
I mean, there's a lot of guns in it, a lot of roses in it. So, oh, dude, did I ever tell you that time in high school I got in trouble because I wore a Guns N' Roses shirt?
You
And I had
owned
to
a
go-
Guns N' Roses shirt?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I mean, it's fine.
No, it was one of those things
I
where
was
it's
unaware
like,
of that.
it was just one of those things where, well, I didn't never wear it to school after that because I remember I was in civics class and the teacher's like, I walk in the door. By the way, this was the last period of the day, by the way. I'd gone a full like 6 hours of school wearing this shirt that said Guns N' Roses, and if you believe it, it had guns on it and roses on it. It had like 2 revolvers on it, and it was like roses, and it said Guns N' Roses. Okay, I walk in the class, and the moment I walk in, the teacher goes, "You gonna go change your shirt now or later?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "I'm talking about the 2 revolvers on your shirt. You can't wear that at school." And I was like, "I've been wearing it all day." And she was like, "You need to turn it inside out, or go to the Lost and Found and find another shirt." Which, by the way, that kind of defeat the purpose of the Lost and Found? If I go to the Lost and Found and steal someone else's shirt, do I leave my Guns N' Roses shirt there?
They're never gonna find it.
Yeah, it's lost forever, and they're never gonna find it. They're gonna see me wearing it the next day, and they're gonna be like, "That's my shirt."
They're trying to dismantle the premise of Lost and Found. So I got in trouble 2 different times in high school for wearing. The first one was when Chuck Norris was like getting real hot and popping.
Oh yeah, Chuck Norris, baby.
You know what I mean? So I had a shirt. It was for the old Delta Force movie. I think it was Delta Force. But it had, Chuck Norris's face, and it had the logo Delta Force, and they had like 2 like AK-47s like crossing each other like on the front of the shirt.
Yeah.
And I walk in, and there was like this guy. He was like a substitute teacher, but he was there like monitoring the front doors. He was like, "Hey, I mean, that's a cool shirt and everything, but they're gonna say something about it." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, because it's got the guns on it." I was like, "Okay, well," and I was wearing like a flannel over it. He's like, "Yeah, just button it up and you'll be fine." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." So, and then the other time, my mom, she used to work for ATF, and she got me this shirt that said like, it was like Homeland Security, and it had a picture of this like SWAT guy, and he was like holding an M16. And I wore the shirt, and the same thing, I wore it all day. And then my very last class, the teacher like pulled me outside and was like, "Hey, that's great. I'm all for freedom and everything, and that's, but you can't wear that shirt here." I was like, these are the guys that come in like when you're in trouble and a bank is being robbed or something. They come in to save you. So I'm just not supposed to represent that, I guess. And she was like, "Yeah, I get what you're saying, but you can't wear it."
Yeah, that is a little weird considering, I mean, I haven't been to high school in a long time, over 10 years. Same with you, I know, but
Yes.
I see a lot of these people wearing the Black Rifle Coffee Company and then the 9-line clothes or whatever? Like, is that allowed in school or no? Is that like a no-no to wear like a shirt that has guns on it? Still, or?
It's really hard to say because I mean, these kids now they just be like, "Oh, well, that offends me that you're offended by this."
Yeah, it should be. It should offend
keep on wearing it.
No, I mean, not to get political, but I mean, obviously, I don't think that people are I don't think many people are gonna really care if you're pro gun or not these days in America. So they probably just don't let them wear it. But that is something I'm going to ask a high schooler that I know. I don't know many high schoolers, I know some people. I'm friends with some people that are more recently out of high school than I am, so I might ask them that. But yeah, what were we talking about? Thor, Guns N' Roses. Yeah. Thor was good. I think it was good. Christian Bale did a great job as the villain. If I could change one thing about that movie, would probably be that we needed more of that character because he was pretty interesting. They kind of like at the end there, it was kind of like, oh, that was really convenient sort of thing. And they tied it up in a way that it was like, okay, I mean, no surprise there, but it's not a groundbreaking Thor movie. It's not a groundbreaking Marvel movie, but I think it was a well-made movie. If you liked Thor Ragnarok, I think you'll enjoy Thor Love and Thunder. It has sort of a similar vibe. The only thing about Ragnarok that I think makes that one of my favorite Marvel movies is just the space, and they go to, and of course Hulk's in it, which I think really adds to the dynamic of the movie. The supporting cast in Thor Love and Thunder was probably not as good as Hulk, but they still had Korg, and Korg's always a treat to watch.
Korg, yeah, he was like one of the highlights of the movie.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I like that. This is yet again another case of an MCU movie that I don't think they're ever going to be able to get past this, but after Avengers 1, you watch another movie of like a solo film for a character, and you're just kind of like, where are the other characters? Like, how are they not? Why don't they just ask them for help? You know, in this case, I guess post Endgame, there's not really an Avengers, so it makes a little more sense. Like for instance, like Captain America 2, right? You're like, okay, well, Hydra just took over S.H.I.E.L.D. It's like, why don't we call Iron Man or something, you know? But they don't. He doesn't do that, and I guess it's whatever. Maybe he didn't have time or something. Black Widow is in that one, so at least he had some help. But in this one, there's something that happens, and I guess any other Avenger would probably have not been up to the task for this, I guess. So it makes sense. But there's always that lingering, like, dang, why doesn't he just call, like, you know, which I guess there's nobody to call anymore. In the current state of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, nobody knows who Spider-Man is. There's no Iron Man.
That's right, I forgot about that.
Black Panther would be difficult to bring in at this point.
Who is Peter Parker?
Nobody knows who Peter. Doctor Strange has got his own crap going on, so I don't think he'd be of much help at this point. Provided that this movie's happening around the same time as the new Doctor Strange, then it's like he's not really there to help.
I think it's just for the sake of the movie. They're trying to just have it in that singular, you know, universe. I mean, they're all the same universe, but
yeah, I know
it's specific to Thor and whoever.
Yeah, and that makes sense. But I get it. I've always understood that, but it just kind of feels like, dude, they've made like
I mean,
they literally have each other's cell phone numbers. Like, why don't they just show up and help, you know? But then again, that would make every movie
show up all the time.
Yeah, that would make every movie like an Avengers movie if they did that. You know? So
it'd be fine though, because the comics are a lot of times just like that.
Yeah, a lot of times they'll be like, all right, well, you know, I gotta help Iron Man fight this guy. I'm gonna have Daredevil show up as well, and we're gonna show up over there and help. You know, that does happen a lot. But no, I think I'd give Thor Love and Thunder an 8 or 9 out of 10. I think
it was definitely probably one of my favorite Marvel movies so far. I mean, it was like one of the funniest movies I've seen, period, in a while.
Yeah, a lot of people are complaining about that there was too much romantic comedy sort of humor, and like that it was a little too like goofy. And I think that Thor Ragnarok had moments where it's like, okay, your sister is about to destroy Asgard, and you're just over here telling jokes. It doesn't really mesh with the problem at hand. But also, I feel like this movie did that a little better because like they kept the the main plot with the villain like pretty simple, where it was like we don't really have to explain a lot, which leaves more room for some other stuff, some other character moments, and some other jokes and stuff. And I think they did good with it. It was a good movie. I think it's the best thing to come out of Phase 4 so far, because I liked Doctor Strange. My only gripe with Doctor Strange 2 was that it's called Madness in the Multiverse or whatever, and there was like 2 universes they go to. There was like a montage part where they go through a bunch of different universes, but they didn't really explore it, and I guess they would have been like a 5-hour movie if they did everything they wanted to do. But
yeah, it's like I thought they were going to spend time in other universes and things
I
like
did
that.
too. And they kind of just go to one other universe and that's it. But it was good. It's Sam Raimi, so it was like kind of horror-esque, which was sick. And I like that they can sort of like take the MCU, take the Marvel franchise, and make other genres within. Because 10 years ago or whatever, it was like superhero movie was a genre. You know, it's like,
yeah,
I love the first couple Iron Man movies and stuff, but like the superhero movie in itself was like, this is a superhero movie. Now they've kind of come to their own, where it's like, we're going to take the superhero characters and we can put them in any kind of movie. You can make a spy movie, you can make a horror movie, you can make a romantic comedy, you can make a sci-fi movie, whatever you want to do with it. So that's really sick that they can do that now.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with like making different genres of movie within superhero movies, because again, in the comics, it's more or less the same way. I mean, there's no telling what kind of storyline you're gonna get.
Yeah, it just depends on the writer and the illustrator and stuff, and like how they portray the storyline in a certain way. And like, yeah, it's cool to do that with those characters.
Except Batman, it's always dark.
Yeah, Batman's usually dark. Yeah,
it's always dark in Batman.
Yeah,
but we like
Batman's sick, dude. Yeah, Batman's sick.
I read more DC than anything. Like, it seems like all the stuff I get is DC, except Superman. I've never read Superman.
Yeah, I've never read. I mean, I've read stuff with Superman in it, but I don't think I've ever bought a Superman comic.
Yeah, no. Like,
I don't think
I recently started reading the Justice League, which obviously he's in.
It has Superman, yeah. Well, Justice League itself is cool because it's everybody.
Yeah, the current storyline, they like the original Justice League, they all died, and so now it's all the like young Justice League people. Like, what's the dude's name? The Superman's son? I can't remember his name.
You're talking
but
about
he's like a big part in it.
Yeah. The one that's like the new son, or the one that's like the clone, Superboy?
No, it's
Connor
it's his actual son, I think.
Oh, okay. I haven't read.
But it's like him and like Nightwing are like sort of
main dudes,
I guess, leading the new or they're trying to like figure out how to bring him back. There's always a way to bring him back. I mean,
yeah. The only comic book characters that stay dead are Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben. They're the only
Alfred
one that stays dead. Alfred comes back all the time.
He's been dead for a while now.
Yeah, but they'll bring him back. He'll be back.
Maybe.
You can't have Batman without Alfred.
Maybe.
All right, so we wanted to do a little bit about what we were talking about doing on this show is we kind of wanted to do, we want to talk about movies, comics, things that we're interested in, just run-of-the-mill life struggles as well, you know. I think that Thorvault, you wanted to talk about music as well. So what's going on in the music world? What you got?
Well, it's hard to, because most of the music I listen to, like, nobody else listens to it. So, like, I can never find people except a guy I work with, Chris. Me and him are into a lot of the same bands and stuff. But, yeah, like, I'll find new bands, and it's like I'm excited that I found a new band, but like there's nobody I can talk to about it usually because they're not into the same stuff I am.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I'm totally down.
Maybe
to highlight some music that's out there that maybe is not as mainstream or maybe doesn't get the love you think it deserves, and we can talk about
Right.
it.
Because I don't listen to the radio, period.
Oh, I mean, dude, the radio, like, I don't even. We have like 2 stations here,
Period.
anyways, and the only one that I even ever turn on, the one that's like default, what I'm hearing before I plug my phone in,
Right.
because I don't have like Bluetooth. I think I do, but I don't know how to work it, so I just have an aux
But,
cord, like a.
here's something. How is radio still a thing?
Dude, there's got to be some
Who,
kind of like
who is
protection.
listening to it?
I think people do listen to it. I think there are some people, maybe not, definitely not as many as at one time, but they are
I mean, like
they
older
are
people, I guess, but
yeah, they're gradually losing their grip on the demographic of humanity in general, because that's why the same like 12 songs have been on the radio for like as long as I can remember, like for like 30 years, my
I've
whole
never
life.
I've never understood why the classic stations they play the same 12 Aerosmith songs along with a little bit of Journey and Boston and Steve Miller Band. But
Yeah, it could be just our
there's
area
like
because we live in the South
I
and
don't
we
I don't
live
think that's
in. I don't know. Maybe in some more hip cities they have better radio stations, but I don't foresee that happening. I think
yeah. I
most
mean,
of the local stations, anyways, are just outsourced like iHeartRadio channels,
mhm,
anyways. So I don't
yeah,
foresee them. I don't. You don't hear really DJs anymore. It's just like you said, like they're gonna the country. There's like 100 country stations around here
right.
at least, and then there's like maybe like what one classic rock station, and then is there even like a even remotely modern rock station anymore?
I think there's one that maybe plays newer like rock slash metal music,
Yeah,
but
so
as
I
far
don't even know
other than
what.
that, I mean, it's
Yeah, I mean,
I know
I
like
feel like most people just listen
Atlanta.
to Spotify and stuff.
I know like Atlanta has some like different station. That's like the closest major city near us, really. Well, except Orlando, but
Yeah.
um, so one of the bands, obviously, you're wearing the shirt of the band I was going to mention,
Oh yeah,
Becoming the
buddy
Archetype.
boy.
Now, this band has been in our lives for since high school.
Yeah, dude.
The first album came out in '04, Terminate Damnation, and the first album I got by them was Dichotomy, which came out in 2008. We were still in high school when that came out, and it's if you're into like death metal, that's essentially what they fall under, death metal, I guess. I guess some thrash mixed in there with it, but they're one of my all-time favorite bands, and they just recently, within the last couple weeks, announced that they're coming out with a new album. They debuted a new song. We thought that was never going to happen.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, it was
Honestly,
like pretty
yeah,
big. I mean,
we actually had the honor of opening for the singer, his new band a couple
yeah,
years ago. Which I know that nobody knows us, so we played in bands for like, well, we played in a band for like 12 years, and we got to
yeah.
open for some sick bands. And one of the bands that we got open for was the guy from this band, and they're called Becoming the Archetype. That's not the band we opened for, but that is the band that he's from that we're talking about.
He's from that band, yeah.
Yeah. I will put links to all of these bands in the description and stuff like that too. So we want you people to check them out too. So that's kind of the point of this segment. But go ahead and continue with what you're saying.
Yeah, so the band they went through a couple different well, I guess it was 2 different variations of the band. It was like the original main 4 guys. Then I guess around 2012, the singer, the guy we were talking about, we opened for, which his other project was called Death Therapy. I don't know if you said that, but
No, I didn't. But
It's
yeah.
sort of like it's a two-piece band, which is pretty interesting. It's just bass and drums, and it's sort of like a industrial rock metal, because he does like the real harsh vocals in it. They put out a couple albums already, and we opened for them in Jacksonville at Murray Hill Theater. But yeah, so they surprised everybody with a new song with Becoming the Archetype, and also there's a new album coming out like in August, I think, and it's the original three guys who started the band: the singer, who's also the bass player, the guitarist, and the original drummer. But 2012, Jason, the singer, he left for I don't think he had some family issues or whatever. But Seth, the original guitarist, he wanted to, I guess, keep the band going, so they got like all new members, and they put out an album in 2013 called I Am, which was great, but it was very different from the original Becoming the Archetype. And they did like a tour, I think one or two small tours, and then that was about it for Becoming the Archetype. So like
10 years later,
all
almost.
these, yeah, like 10 years since their last album of the original group, they're doing a new album, which is, like I said, I thought they were completely finished. So I'm like really excited. I mean, it's not a big deal to the majority of any people, but it was a big deal.
It's a big deal to
me,
me, okay? Because
Dude,
I
I
didn't
was like,
actually plan to wear this shirt
gosh.
today. I didn't know we were going to talk about this. Dustin had said he wanted to do something like that for the episode. We'll probably do that every episode if we can, and just kind of like highlight some music and just kind of show him some love and talk about it, which
Yeah.
is like, I think, a really sick thing. That I'm sure that I don't really listen to that many podcasts or shows like this. I don't really like using the word podcast because I don't know. There's a lot of what defines a podcast, you know. But for this one,
Yeah, like-
I kind of wanted to do like some ongoing segments every episode and kind of like highlight some stuff that we are interested in. And there will be
Yeah.
some sick music introduced.
I don't hear people talking about music. The stuff that I listen to and the things that I've encountered, like I don't see anybody talking about like new bands or anything like that. So I think it's important because I know it's a big part of our lives. I don't know about other people, but it's like a big deal to me.
I think
Keeps
everybody
the
listens to
dark
music,
so
but
heavy.
there is something about the metal communities that will always be, I guess, for lack of a better word, underground. And that's just kind of like what I think defines heavy metal, is that it will never be mainstream. And when it does, it's no longer liked by the metal community.
Right.
You know, I mean,
that's kind of what I think it's the appeal to a lot of people is that it's not mainstream, so it keeps it like pure and
yeah.
But
I mean, you know, there's
look at
definitely.
Metallica. Hey,
I mean, dude, Metallica. I
Hey,
just heard about them, dude.
look at Metallica.
I was watching Stranger Things, and I heard this new song on there called like something about
Hey.
puppets or something like that, dude. Dude, I don't know who these guys are, but they're about to blow up.
I don't know who Metallica is, but Stranger Things might make them blow up. All right,
Dude, I know,
so,
man. Freaking, I saw that. I actually didn't watch the new Stranger Things yet. I'm a whole 2 seasons behind.
I gave you my Netflix just so you could watch it.
I know, and I haven't logged into it to watch it yet. I've been caught up on The Boys,
You're
dude.
logged in.
I know you haven't watched The Boys, but you're going to.
I
But for
know.
those out there, look, if you guys if you're listening to this right now and you like The Boys, message me. I need somebody to talk to about it. The subreddit is not giving me the social
I bet it's terrible.
no, it's not terrible. It's just the people on the subreddit are cool, but they're not giving me the social stimulation that I need to talk about this show. Okay,
Right.
like it's not a super deep show. I'm not gonna tell you that the show is like a piece of like art or any. I mean, it is technically. It's a great show, but it's not like anything that it's like needs any kind of like inspiring like in-depth discussion on. It's a show about superheroes, but dude,
Right.
if you watch that show, message me. I want to talk to you about it, okay? And I'm gonna get Dustin to watch it, and we can talk about it. But the season 3 has just ended yesterday, and the show's sick, and he's gonna catch up by next season. I assure you.
I'm gonna catch up. I'm gonna catch up.
As for Stranger Things and their new band, Metallica, I don't know who Metallica is. I've never heard of them before, but I do think that they're gonna become the next big band.
Dude, I know I told you I watched the documentary again, Some Kind of Monster.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies ever.
It is really good.
It's how, I mean, I know I'm an awkward person, but that movie makes me uncomfortable.
Yep.
Just watching it, and with their personal therapist, psychotherapists that they have there.
Yeah, I
paying
watched it in a long time.
40 grand a month, dude. They're paying this guy.
I want that job.
And it is like, he's there all the
Yeah. Dude, I haven't watched that movie in a long time, but yeah, I remember being pretty.
It's amazing.
Cringe. Yeah.
But it also like James Hetfield. He just seems like he's like one of the most just regular guys.
Yeah, he does seem like kind of
like
a regular guy.
He's like the most just regular white dude.
Yeah.
But he's in one of the biggest metal bands. But
yep.
Lars Ulrich. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, what a character.
I don't even. He's like.
I've never really been into Metallica as a band, but I can get down on some kind of monster for sure.
Oh yeah, I was never a huge fan of them, but everybody who listens to like metal music, they went through a Metallica phase. You can't not get into metal music without listening to them at some point or another.
I agree with that, but I agree with that for the most part. But I have to actually like, and I'm not just saying this to like make myself sound cool. I never went through a Metallica phase. Like I know Enter Sandman and the radio hits and stuff, and I know some of the deep cuts, I guess, that like people have shown me or whatever. But I went to Black Sabbath, and then I think thanks to you.
You went off the deep end with Black Sabbath.
I still love Black Sabbath. They're probably my favorite band to this day. But
I do too.
I mean, if you think about Black Sabbath, they have some killer songs, but they're only if you think about it. So their first like 5 albums are like what people consider like. I mean, that's the Ozzy era, right? I mean, they did more than 5, but the last 2 don't really count, I guess. But if you think about it, man, there's only a handful of like really good songs on those albums, like, and they are really, really good. But a lot of it is, a lot of the like Master of Reality, probably from start to finish, is like masterpiece. But the other ones, I guess Black Sabbath and Paranoid are both really good. But even like Sabbath Bloody Sabbath and Sabotage and Volume 4, they have like 3 or 4 good songs on them, realistically.
Yeah, right.
And those are the ones people know and that people have been inspired by. But like. Yeah, I went from Black Sabbath, and I think thanks to you probably, I kind of just passed over the Metallica, Megadeth phase that most people go through, and kind of got into some newer stuff. I mean, I listened to a bunch of stuff. I've listened to Black Sabbath, I listened to John Mayer, I listened to freaking Leonard Skinner. A lot of different stuff kind of just combines and becomes my musical taste, but Metallica is not one of them. And never really has been. And it's not because I'm ashamed that I was into Metallica. I just never was, truly upon the Lord.
It's weird because I think one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan is because of how big of a band they are.
Yeah. I can
but it's like they're in the genre of metal, which isn't mainstream,
right?
So it's kind of it's always been a weird situation with them. It's like you talk to people who are like, oh yeah, I like Metallica. You're like, Okay. What other metal do you like? Like, like Five Finger Death Punch. It's like,
Yeah, well, Metallica,
we
I think
stopped right there. That's not metal.
Metallica, I think it kind of like is the one metal band that, and I do still think that they're a metal band. I wouldn't like try to
Yeah, no,
take
they
that title
are.
away from them, but I would say that Metallica is probably one of the few that actually made it out of that underground sort of like, uh, you know, scene, because they played like sold out arenas and they're on the radio and stuff, you know. So
But if
I
they
think
didn't,
that they're kind of like the more mainstream representation of metal music.
what made them mainstream was the Black Album.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think most people can agree that was because that's when they got like on the radio. Essentially, was the Black Album. I don't think
Yeah.
they'd be the band they are now without that album.
Yeah, no,
They would
I
have
would
never
agree with
made like Saint Anger and all that
that. Mhm.
if they would just kept doing, like Ride the Lightning, type songs.
Mhm.
Like they would just kind of be out there the same lines with like Exodus or whoever.
Anvil, dude.
Anvil.
Dude. Anvil.
We
the
opened
biggest
for
band
them
you've
one
never
time.
heard. We did open for Anvil. I forgot
We opened
about
for
that.
Anvil. Canadian hard hitters, dude.
Dude, honestly, they're a sick band, and I'm not a fan of them. I mean, I'm not a fan of them, but I'm not really into them. I don't listen to Anvil in my free time,
Yeah.
but like, I can respect it, dude. I can respect the grind, dude. Those guys have been
they're-
out there doing it for like 100 years.
Live music is always better than listening to the album. Obviously, their live show was really good,
Oh,
especially
yeah,
being like in the small venue we were at.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty cool with us seeing them.
Yeah, dude.
But another band I wanted to talk about real quick since we're on music, I found this band called First Fragment, and I guess they're more of like technical death metal. But what's interesting, they're from Canada, right? I believe they're from Canada, Quebec. So they're like all their album, all the song titles are like these French names.
Mhm.
I think they're French, or maybe they're Spanish.
They're French.
It's another language that's
Well,
not
if they're from
English.
Canada, it's
Okay.
probably French, right?
Yeah, but the song titles kind of look Spanish to me.
Okay. Well,
But anyways, the reason I say that too is so their songs, they start out like in this traditional like Mexican, almost like flamenco style music, and then it just breaks into this crazy like blast beats and super brutal vocals. But yeah, that's a band I found recently that they've been around for a long time, but I'd never heard of them.
yeah.
And
I'm looking right now at their discography, and
dude, it's pretty legit.
They have an album that came out in 2016. But yeah, I'll check them out, dude, for sure, and I'll put a link to them on the description as well.
Yeah. First Fragment.
They
It
are
is awesome.
Their about says that they're from Quebec, however you say it.
Quebec. But yeah, dude, just like the musicianship with all tech death metal, it's blistering.
It says they have
I mean,
face-ripping lead guitar work and bombastic
blistering.
drumming.
Blistering. If you like blast beats,
You're gonna love First Fragment if you like.
you're gonna
blast
love
beats.
some first. You're gonna be fragmented after this. You're gonna be kind of just.
Honestly, yeah, I'll check that out. So we're pulling up on the 45-minute mark. I didn't really have a
dang.
like a specific time we wanted to do this, but was there anything else you wanted to talk about before we wrap her up, dude? I mean,
Well,
honestly, I don't have really anything else that I can think of. I'm sure there are
um,
things happening.
well, as you know, I had a dilemma today.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Somebody, so I live in an apartment complex, and I have a motorcycle, Harley Sportster, nothing fancy. Okay. Somebody knocked it over and just set it back up on the kickstand like nothing happened. and, and just left it for me to find out of place. And now my handlebars are bent. So when I'm riding, instead of just being like normal like this, I'm like this. Instead of being like this, I'm like this.
That
And
just that really
so
that really grinds my gears.
if
And it's not even
if
my
you
motorcycle.
knock somebody's motorcycle over, try to find them and tell them so they don't die from the damages you may have caused, or just leave a note and say, "Hey, I tipped your bike over. I dropped it.
Hello,
Sorry."
neighbor. I bent your bars.
That-
That's all
that
you gotta
would've
say.
been- At least I would have known what happened. But I had to figure it out by noticing these little things. I'm like, why is my bike not riding like it usually does? And like my
Yeah.
front fender was like cocked to the side. That's how I knew something had happened. The front fender was just like.
So what's the theory on this? Like, who do you think did it? Think it was a
So
neighbor?
somebody probably was backing up, like turning around, because the road is like a dead end. They're probably just backing in, or like backing out, and hit my front tire, and it probably just fell over. Because if it's on the kickstand and you like pull it backwards, the kickstand is gonna fold up.
So when you
And
went
it's
out to the
gonna
bike, was it on the ground?
No, it was steady. No, um,
Someone picked it back up.
somebody picked it up and just put it back on the kickstand. I was wrong about the kickstand. If you push it forward, the kickstand will flip up and it'll fall over. So they had to have hit the front tire and it just fell over, and they put it back. How I noticed is like I park back into the spot. Normally that's typically what you do on motorcycles. You back in, and it was like all like at an angle, and I never park like that. And so I was just like, I don't know, maybe the other night I just parked weird. But I got on it, and the handlebars were like this. I was just like, dude, what the heck? Somebody
gall.
dropped this.
Which I mean, I don't know. I'm at the time for my story. I think I already told you this today when you told me this, but it reminds me again. Like, if you run into somebody's car, hit somebody's car, if you knock their motorcycle over, I don't care how much time. At that point, the right thing to do, like you said, would be to handle it. You knocked over somebody's bike, you go and own up to your mistake. You tell this person, "Hey, I
Right.
hit your bike, dude. Is that like I'm sorry? What do I need to do to like help this? I don't know. Like it's not
I mean-
that damaged. I mean, what can I
Yeah.
do or whatever." But I'm the person that I get this little voice in the back of my head. It's like I need to help somebody if something like that happens. Yesterday, I'm at the gas station, getting absolutely robbed by the gas pump, like you do. And I putting gas in my
Like you do
car.
nowadays.
I get in my car, I start driving. While I'm getting in my car, before I leave, I'm getting into the door, and I see this car parked up by the gas station. And the person turned over their ignition, and it starts sounds like the battery's dead, right? It's like clicking. And I'm like, well, I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. My first thought was that sucks for them. That was my first thought, right? Well, I get in my car. I get as far as the stop sign out of. I'm leaving the gas station parking lot onto the main road. And this voice is like, you have jumper cables in the back seat. Why don't you go see if they need some help?
Yeah.
And I'm fighting with myself the entire time. Like, dude, no, I'm not. Because every time I ever try to go out of my way to help somebody, it turns into a disaster for me. Okay. Luckily, this time it didn't. But I end up leaving the gas station. I pull out onto the road the other way, the opposite way that I go. Pull back into the other entrance of the gas station parking lot, and I pull up next to this person. It's a woman in her car, and she's like an older lady. Not like an elderly person, but probably like in her 50s or something. And so I get out of my car and walk around to her car, and she's sitting in her driver's seat with her phone. And I'm just kind of like, I mean, I guess I could be considered like a creepy dude at nighttime, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, I wasn't like staring into her. Like, I wasn't looking aggressive. I just kind of walk up, and I'm just like waiting for her to roll down her window so she can say like, what do you need, you know?
Yeah.
And I was just going to be like, hey, do you need a jump? Is what I was going to do. And I'm just standing there, and she looks at me and goes, she just kind of shakes her head. She's like, no, like as if saying like, no, I'm good. And I'm thinking, is like, you think I'm trying to like mug you, dude? Like, I'm trying to help you get on the road again. Like, I'm trying to help, be a good Samaritan, like stop and give you your battery a charge, right? Yeah. And this lady looks like she's like offended that I'm like approaching her. So I was just like, okay.
Like, people automatically think you're a creep.
I mean, I guess I can kind of understand that if you look at me.
That's what they think about me.
If I was an older lady and I'm sitting in my car and somebody that looks like me approaches, but it's not like I'm a homeless person. Like, I just got out of a car. Like, I'm not like asking for money or anything. She's just looking at me and won't roll her window down. So I was just like, I just kind of like shrugged. I was like, okay, and I go back in my car. She cranked her car up. I guess it worked this time, and drives off with her headlights off, no lights on, and it was nighttime. And I'm just like, I'm just like, you're gonna get hit.
Maybe there wasn't enough juice in the battery to turn.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe she's turned her lights off to try to conserve battery. But if you know anything about a vehicle, once it's turned on, your alternator will charge the battery. Right. So it's like you don't need to turn your lights off.
Maybe the older vehicles, it would drain the battery.
It wasn't really an older vehicle. Like, anyways, my point is, you try to be nice. You try to help somebody. And they just treat you like a piece of crap. Like, okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna not help anybody anymore. This will be, we can do a whole episode about our perils of trying to help people. Oh my god! Because I have stories. I definitely have stories about trying to help people.
Here's the thing about me. Apparently, I have one of those faces that people who, I guess, need help or they're trying to shyster you, they will come directly to me.
Oh, me absolutely too.
In any situation. They'll see me from across the way and be like, oh, that guy, he'll give it up.
That guy's gonna give me his change, for sure.
I don't know why. So I'll give you a short story.
Alright.
I was at Pinball Palace.
Okay.
Like I normally am.
Shout out Pinball Palace.
Shout out Pinball Palace. So there's always a bunch of like kids like around Pinball Palace. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like in a little, I guess, rougher part of town. You know, this isn't Sea Island by any means.
Right.
So this little kid, this little African American boy, he comes over to me as I'm like leaving, and he's like, hey, you got some like work I can do for you for $3? And I said, what? He's like, you have like some work I can do for you, and I can get $3 from you
for $3. And
I said, what could you possibly do for me for $3? Which I'm not gonna.
I mean, just give him $3. Just ask for $3.
That was my point. I'm like, why don't you just ask me for $3 rather than saying it like that? Because that sounds really weird. And if I was like some other creep,
how old was
something might happen. I mean, this kid was like, he's like 12 years old, like 10 to 12 years old.
That's strange.
Like nobody or no parents around anywhere. And I was just like, I was so confused as to why he would just come over to me, a complete stranger. But I guess he was just like, oh, this white boy, what is he gonna do?
I mean,
I was like, why?
Just ask.
I'm like,
At
hey,
that point, ask for $3. I get.
yeah,
I get the wanting to work for it. Like that's upstanding. I respect that. But also like it's $3.
but if I was like a crazy person, I
Yeah,
would
this is a little
take,
dangerous.
they would take that the wrong way. I was like, hey, if you're gonna ask for money, just ask for it. Don't say, can I do something for you for $3?
Yeah, and like what could
but
he
then
possibly have
like,
done in the parking lot for you? Was he expecting somebody to take him somewhere to work for them?
he just wanted $3. That's all it was.
I know, but I just feel
And
like yeah, that's
he was just wanting me to be like, oh, I'll just give you $3.
well then yeah. I mean,
But
that's what he should have just said.
but then afterwards, after I said that to him and everything, I was like, I don't have any cash. I'm sorry. And he just had to mosey on to somebody
you gotta
else.
be careful about these people, man. I mean, at what point is it like we take card? Because the Girl Scouts take card now. When they get you on the side of the breezeway or wherever they're sitting in front of Walmart or whatever, and they're like, "Would you like to buy some Girl Scout cookies?" And you're like, "I don't have any cash." Like, we got card, we got Square, and I'm just like, dang.
When I see the Girl Scouts posted up somewhere, I'm immediately pissed.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I'm
not anything
immediately pissed.
For me, I think that they have figured it out. Not the Girl Scouts themselves, but the organization in general. Like they have it figured out. They can get little kids to sell stuff for them and not pay the kids.
How much you want to bet the head of Girl Scout cookies or Girl Scouts does it? How much you want to bet he drives a Maserati or better?
Let's see. How much does the head?
There's no way he doesn't drive a Maserati
Girl
or better.
Scouts make. The chief executive offer the Girl Scouts gets a yearly pay of $211,000.
That's not right. That can't be right.
$211,000 annually.
That can't be right.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good, but that cannot be all they get paid.
Maybe they give a lot of it.
You know how much money they
make?
Make?
Actually, yeah, but maybe a lot of it. Well, there's probably
Hey.
people under and above the CEO.
Hey, I think it's there. There's no way they're not laundering money.
I don't know, man.
There's no way they're not laundering.
I don't know, man. I mean, okay, so this person, the Girl Scouts Cookie Monster, in quotes, CEO, isn't making crumbs, according to New York Post. New tax filing pegged her yearly salary at $393,380. So this initial Google search that I did, according to Indeed.com, says $211K, but New York Post is saying that they make $393K.
I mean, Girl Scout, that's nationwide, right? That's across all states, correct?
I think so.
Dude, there's
the Girl Scouts of America.
And they be posted up at every Walmart and Kroger's across America.
There's a website called Nonprofit Light,
which
I assume shines the light on the Girl Scouts of America, or just in general all nonprofits. The Girl Scouts of America's total revenue is $112 million a year, and it says that Sylvia Akivido, which is the CEO, works 35 hours a week and makes a total salary of $687,000. So these numbers are all over the place. There's at least a dozen people that are making over 100K and beyond. So the COO, Anthony Doyle, makes 450K a year. And then the person beneath that is the chief customer officer, which makes 400K a year. That's what the president makes, dude. That's insane. And then of course you've got this poor person, the board member, who makes $0 a year. And most everyone else makes $0 a year, except for about a dozen people at the Girl Scouts.
So where is all that other money going to? That $100? How much did you say?
$112 million. Well,
where is that going?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Probably to the actual organization. I mean, they have to, they do all these like I'm gonna look up Goodwill. Goodwill.
Oh yeah,
Goodwill makes $171 million a year.
it's hard out here. I only make 400,000 a year.
The COO
Sometimes
makes
make
250K.
600,000.
It's pretty good. You know, it's hard out here sometimes for the Girl Scouts of America. You know, you gotta buy their cookies.
Bro. Hard out here for a scout pimp. You know, cookie.
It is.
Cookie pimp.
It really is. Dude. It's hard out here.
Either way, but how it affects my life is I'm immediately annoyed when I'm trying to go to Walmart
you get freaking bum
and they're
rushed
hitting me up for
some
money
cookies.
for some cookies that they didn't even make.
Yeah, that's true. It's
Hey,
kind of
I'd be-
genius. Dude, you want to start
I'd be
a
more-
nonprofit?
I'd be more apt to buy the cookies if they homemade them.
I don't know, man. I wouldn't eat homemade cookies from somebody outside of Walmart.
But they're always really good most of the time.
Yeah, but that's kind of like
Most
I don't
of the
know.
time.
I don't know if I'd buy homemade cookies from somebody that I didn't know.
I mean,
Not that
obviously
I'm-
not from the guy at the Shell station hanging outside. He's like, "Hey, you want to buy some cookies?" I ain't gonna buy those.
I think they're selling other stuff. When they say cookie, I think
Right.
they mean like drugs.
Right.
But that, you know, most people, you know, I'm 100% like most people will be like, I'm not gonna buy. I think most people agree with me. I'm not gonna buy cookies that were homemade, but people will buy drugs from somebody, and
Drugs
you
that
don't
are
know
homemade.
homemade drugs. Yeah, you
Go buy
have no
homemade
idea what's in there.
drugs made in the bathtub.
Yeah, but I'm not touching you. I'm not drinking after
But
you.
you're not gonna buy cookies? You're not gonna buy
Sorry,
some
I'm
sugar?
not gonna. Sorry, bud. That you touched the lid of my cup. I can't drink it anymore.
I can't.
But do you have any meth?
But I'll take some tub meth.
The
I'll make
best
some tub meth.
outside of a parking lot encounter that I had ever was at the IGA, which, if you guys don't know, that is a small grocery store that is always in
Yeah.
the worst part of town. Never seen one in a good part of town. I roll up there because I used to. I don't so much anymore. It's not on my way anywhere now, but I used to do my grocery shopping there because it was cheap. So I go, I
Yeah.
pull up there, and I get out, and this lady who looks to be like, I'm not kidding. If she told me she was 105 years old, I would have believed her, without a doubt, no question, not even blink. She would
That's
have been
that
like, I'm
homemade
105 years old. I would have been like, I believe you. And she is standing there with a huge, like the biggest fountain drink that you can buy from the gas station.
Big gulp, huh?
Big
Well,
gulp. It wasn't a
see you
big
later.
gulp, but it was basically big gulp. And so she's sitting there drinking that and smoking a cigarette. And I get out, and she doesn't. Most of the time, they have like a sob story sort of deal where it's like, hey, you know, I'm going through hard times. Like, I got kicked out of my house, or my car's broke down, or like
It's
I got
always
screwed over.
something.
Yeah, but it wasn't that for her. She just looked at me dead in the eye and says, I'm pregnant. Do you have some money? And I swear, dude, like that was 100% how it went down. And I just looked at her and I was like, I'm sorry, I don't have any money. And I walked inside the grocery store, and I'm thinking, like, if you're pregnant,
Pregnant.
one, how are you pregnant in this?
Hey,
Secondly, you're smoking a cigarette.
hey, I'm pregnant. Hey,
She just said,
You
I'm
think-
pregnant. Can I have some money? I'm pregnant. And I was just
you
like,
think- hey, people like
No.
that, they
They've
will
given up.
not stop smoking or drinking if they get pregnant.
well, this must have been like Abraham's wife from the Bible or something. I mean, she had to be no younger
Wow.
than 75 years old. How?
Wait, isn't that
I'm
when-
impressed. I'm
Didn't
impressed.
Abraham's wife, Sarah, didn't she have her first kid at like 80?
Yeah, but that's like, I mean, that's like in the Bible. That was like a miracle, This lady
might-
is out here doing it for real.
You might have run across the miracle baby maker, and you didn't give her anything.
Dude, that was probably John Connor inside of her. That was probably the future John Connor for us in real life. That was her baby that will grow up to save
And
us from the AI.
now he's not going to save us from AI because you didn't
He's
give
gonna
her
save us from the AI.
$1.
Yeah, that's actually what's going to happen. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we wrap up the first episode of Well, It Certainly Does Suck. And by the way, if you didn't catch it, the title of the show is from one of our favorite movies, Wayne's World. So if you've
Wayne
never seen Wayne's
and
World,
his world.
go watch Wayne and His World. It's one of the best movies. It's not like a very well-made movie in terms of like, the grand scheme of movies, but I think they made
Huh?
that. No, it is a good movie. It is well made, but for what
Take
it
it back.
is. No,
Take
no,
it
no.
back.
I mean, they made that movie in like 2 months, which is like super impressive to me. They made that movie. I think the filming was 2
miracle.
months. It is a miracle. It's
Miracle.
that Wayne's World was what was living inside of that woman. It is the miracle child.
Wayne's
Alright.
World 3 was inside of her.
Yeah, Wayne's World 3 is coming, dude. Hopefully. I don't have an outro like catchphrase for this. Do you? What do we say at the end of every episode? We have not talked about this. Signing
What do
off,
we
Chief.
say?
Uh,
Is that a
I-
thing? Do people do that?
I don't know,
Is
dude.
that
I
a
don't
thing?
know. I don't know how to do this. I'm new to this. I don't know. I mean, I have like 2 other podcasts, but I don't know what. I don't have any experience.
My
with this.
favorite outro. It's not an outro. It's actually part of an intro. Was for Days of Our Lives, where the guy would say, "Like sand through the hourglass, these are the days of our lives."
All right. Well, that's gonna be it then. So you're gonna have to do
Can we
it every
just-
episode.
I say it every day. I say it
Like
every day already.
sands, and you do it again. Like sands in the hourglass. These are
Like
the-
sand through the hourglass, these are the days of our lives.
All right. Peace. Like sand in the hourglass. These are the days of our lives.